WWE Night of Champions 2025 is in the books, and we are here to talk about it. Show did go off the air about 2 hours ago, but I needed to catch up on some things because it starts kind of in the morning here on the West Coast. I missed the entire first match and half of the second match, so I kind of had to get caught up with everything, and then I wanted to give myself a break, allow myself to eat some lunch, and here we are to talk about Night of Champions. I want to know what your thoughts on the show is in the chat. Give me your grades, A, B, C, or D, 1 through 10, based on the feedback that I've seen online so far. I feel like this pay-per-view over-delivered. It overachieved on what we thought it would be. I didn't think it was really going to be that tremendously great, and I even had some fears that the main event, John Cena and CM Punk, might be kind of a bad match, and we have a lot to say about that match, especially as it relates to all the run-ins and whatnot, but you could still see that all of these years later, the chemistry between John Cena and CM Punk is still there. Obviously, physically, they are not what they once were, but my fear was that Cena and Punk, who are going into this match, tied in their all-time face-to-face record. I think it's like 6-6 and a couple of ties or something like that, and a couple of countouts or a DQ or whatever. So this is the tiebreaker, the all-time tiebreaker between these two guys in a match that we will never see again. Nobody was expecting John Cena and CM Punk to wrestle after this. Triple H, I believe, all but confirmed that at the press conference. So this was going to be it. And I think it's pretty predictable if you're going to go for an all-time winner here between Cena and Punk, WWE is going to pick John Cena. So it's not the outcome I was that shocked about. I think I was shocked that the match, I think, was better than I thought it would be if you kind of minus the run-ins. And I was worried that John Cena and CM Punk, might do to their legacy what Kane and Undertaker and Triple H and Shawn Michaels did to theirs when they had that complete shit fest, back in 2018 or whatever it was. And I feel like it did a lot of damage to all of their reputations. And I didn't want to see Punk and Cena go through that here tonight. And I'm happy to say that they didn't, despite the fact that John Cena is not the in-ring worker that he once was. Punk is also a lot older now, and the fact that these two guys were still able to, resurrect some of that chemistry that was always so great between them, I thought helped make that match passable, and overall a pretty good match, I have to say. If I had to say which match was the best on the card, I would probably give the nod to Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Worst match on the card, I don't want to say Cross and Zayn. I might say Asuka and Jade, to be honest. But the main event, I thought, delivered enough for Saudi Arabia. Maybe I wouldn't have liked this so much if it was SummerSlam. I would have been maybe expecting more. We had some run-ins. Some of them made a little bit of sense. Some of them made no sense. Seth Rollins was out there at the end of this thing. It didn't feel like as elaborate and over the top as the finish to WrestleMania 40 was when Cody won the title. And it's probably not going to be as bonkers as what we're going to see at All In, as you can clearly see AEW is setting up for some sort of crazy overbooked finish between Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. This was, not as good as either, in my opinion. Granted, we haven't seen the All-In one yet, but I feel like that will be better than this one was. So I wasn't happy with some of the run-ins in the end. I didn't mind a couple of them, but, maybe it didn't come off the way WWE was planning it to. But I can kind of give all that a pass. I was more worried about John Cena and CM Punk taking on us on a roller coaster ride of garbage, and they didn't. They made it interesting, and it was cool to witness them have their final encounter together. And what a shot at the end of the show! There's a wide shot on the ring with the big Riyadh Season logo there, with CM Punk laying spread eagle in the middle of the ring. That how it started, how it's going tweet? Put the how it started with the blood money covered dick tweet next to that image. Man, oh man, just a crazy image to look at, to see CM Punk laying there flat on his back, dead center in the middle of Saudi Arabia. Crazy. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a good grade. I'll give it a 7.5 or an 8. I'll give it a B. I'm going to give it a B. Not an A, but definitely going to give it a B when I thought the show could be a C- or a D. So let me know all your thoughts on that in the chat. Good to see everybody. Happy Saturday afternoon. Normally we're here doing a podcast, but today we're still doing a podcast. It's just going to be kind of condensed down to the Night of Champions review. I'll say hello to everyone in the chat here. I'll let you guys know what to expect from me for the next couple of days. And then we will get moving on here with our review of Night of Champions. Looks like YouTube is still having that issue. Yesterday, I wasn't aware of this. So when I saw all of these names in the chat, I was thinking it was something on my end. Apparently, all of YouTube is going through this. But your usernames and your channel names are kind of gone. And now they kind of have like your emails and whatnot. And some of your names stayed the same. Some of them were altered a little bit. And some of them are completely different. So it just depends on how you have your account set up. Hopefully YouTube fixes this or it goes back to the way it was. I'm not sure. But in any event, as Vince used to say, good to see Intimidator, Conquer OG, who was Jet the Hawk. You are back. We got Karan Sharma. We got Melissa Tatanani. We've got Ajax Johnson. Good to see Geolish. I think I know you. I just can't remember who you are. We've got WOC 1371. The real DJG. We got Gilbert in the house as well. David Brown, Bionic Will. Ryan Adams is here. So is David86. Also, we've got Daniel Mendola. Good to see him, my bro. We have Catnip, 8896. Anybody else that's saying hello or chiming in? Good to see you. Thank you for being here, and welcome to our Night of Champions review. Now, I've got a couple of scheduling things to tell you about, and the first one is about tomorrow's watch along. Now, earlier on in the week, I put up a link for tomorrow's classic watch along, which is going to be WCW Bash at the Beach 2000. I said, you know what? Fuck it. Sunday night will be a perfect night to do that show because it's a cluster, and I don't even think I've ever seen the whole thing start to finish before, and you guys have suggested it for years. We're finally doing it. However, I found out tomorrow night that I'm going to be at a barbecue. So I didn't want to completely cancel the stream, so I put up a poll on YouTube asking you guys if we should bump the live stream to next week, to next Sunday, or just move it a few hours earlier. And I think it won with 65% to 35% to just move it to an earlier time. So tomorrow, if it's okay with you guys, we're going to be watching WCW Bash at the Beach 2000 at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Normally it's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, but I'm going to schedule it to go live 3 hours earlier than normal to give myself a chance to finish the watch along and then get to where I need to be. But it is summertime now, so things are happening, and I got a family BB. I've been invited to the cookout, y'all. So I'm going to be attending the cookout, and I didn't want to completely ditch you guys over that. So we're just going to do the watch along a little bit earlier tomorrow, which also means I might lay off the beers. You know, normally I like to put a couple of back when we're watching these funny ass shows, and I think watching Hulk Hogan and Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo and that whole debacle, that's going to require a little bit of alcohol assistance, but I might just be going with the straight H2O, the high quality H2O tomorrow to save myself for tomorrow night. So sorry about that. Sorry about the rescheduling. We still are going to be here for the watch along tomorrow. It's just going to go live a little bit earlier than what we are used to. So just keep that in mind. Also, Monday night, Raw has a special start time as well of, I believe, 3 or 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific is what I believe Raw is. So we will be up here. We'll do a review after Monday Night Raw on Monday. Yeah, on Monday, because I think it's a double taping. I think they're busting out SmackDown as well, I think, because Friday is 4th of July. Incidentally, SmackDown goes back to 2 hours starting on the 4th of July. So my assumption is that, I love that word, is that on Monday they're taping Raw and then immediately taping SmackDown right after that. I believe that's what's happening, right? So, in a way, I guess one of my problems with my predictions today about the King and Queen of the Ring, I'm like, are they really going to have both crowns on the same show? I was kind of thinking about separating the crowns, but the King on SmackDown and the Queen on Raw. Ultimately, I decided and predicted to have both crowns on the same show, but Jade and Cody will both be at the show on Monday, just in the form of a SmackDown taping, and one or both of them might even make an appearance on Raw. So you're not going to have to wait until Friday to see both King and Queen winners. You'll get some spoilers on Monday night, and they might make an appearance on Raw as well. So we will be up here on Monday night to talk about whatever we wind up seeing on Monday Night Raw. Now, also, in terms of my predictions, Barry Horowitz, once again, your bald bitch goes perfect. This seems to be a theme with me. I get a lot of perfect scores on these pay-per-views. Now, this one was relatively predictable, but I'm not sure if everybody had Solo Sikoa winning or even Sami Zayn. And some people even had, Raquel going over Rhea. So there were, it wasn't that easy to predict. I felt like it kind of was, but I got every match correct on that one. And that's including me changing my pick mid-predictions yesterday. Or not, I didn't change my pick, actually. I picked, but in my notes, I had picked Asuka. But when I was talking out loud in the predictions, I changed my pick to Jade Cargill, and I'm glad I did because she wound up winning the crown, and she will be getting the title shot now at SummerSlam. All right, so that pretty much does it for the pleasantries there. Let me just adjust my chat so I can see you guys. Do me a big favor if you don't mind. Smash that thumbs up button for me. Could really use the likes on this channel, of course, audience and subscribers have stalled a little bit, so we're trying to jumpstart us here. And 4 days of streaming in a row with me, yours truly. All right, here we go. Night of Champions. Now, I did not see if they hit us with any sort of attendance for the night. I didn't see what the attendance figures were. Don't even think WrestleTix had an update on this attendance at all, but it was a really, really cool looking set. Just a massive building. I don't think they have been to this arena before. This is a new stadium or something that they were at right here tonight. So the stage and just the Tron was just enormous. Definitely felt like a WrestleMania-sized type of set, or even bigger. I think it even dwarfed the set that they had in Vegas for WrestleMania this year. This thing was fucking enormous, so that looked good. Crowd, of course, as always, in Saudi Arabia and anywhere WWE goes internationally is always super fun, super hot, super jacked, and super ready to have a good time. And we opened up the show with the Men's King of the Ring final, Cody Rhodes taking on Randy Orton. Randy Orton was out first. Crowd sings his song so much that I think they even looped the song. Cody came out as well. Same thing happened. And, of course, very long ramp here, so plenty of time for these guys to walk slowly and allow the fans to soak in their entrances and sing their songs and all of that. And I got to say, this match was really good. I didn't think it would be bad at all. It gave us a little glimpse of what could be a Randy Orton-Cody Rhodes rivalry in the future here, because Cody Rhodes was working heel a little bit in this match, and he was hearing it a little bit from the audience. So the crowd, we've heard lately with Cody Rhodes that the crowd is not 100% behind him like they used to be. It feels like it's about 80%, 70% now. Cody himself said that he's winding down the tail end of his babyface run. Really weird and to hear a wrestler say that, but Cody himself has said that we're getting close to the end. So Cody will be a heel at some point. What do you guys think in the chat? Are we a year out from that, or is it going to happen sooner? I don't think maybe it could be tied into John Cena leaving the WWE. I mean, that might be kind of ironic. If John Cena turns on, white meat babyface Cody Rhodes, he has his retirement tour, his feud with Cody. They trade the belt back and forth. And then when you get to John Cena's retirement in December, it's Cody Rhodes turning heel on him and kicking his ass out the door. I mean, it would be karma, and it would be very, very poetic if that happened, and I wouldn't mind it. And they might be saving Cody's heel turn to tie into John Cena's send-off to maximize, maybe the love that he'll get from the crowd. But I don't think you need to worry about that. I think the crowd is going to love Cena no matter what. It's just so ironic how back when he was being forced down our throat as a babyface, they booed him. Now he's being forced down our throats as a heel, and we're cheering him. John Cena just is that way. So, Cody and Cena, whatever they, finish doing, I think the Cody heel turn is going to be something we're going to see in 2026, no doubt. But Cody working heel a little bit here against Randy Orton, I liked it. I liked that the fans were giving it to him a little bit. And Randy Orton wasn't all innocent in this either. Man, we had some good spots. I think my favorite was the RKO and the Cody Cutter. That was really awesome. But Randy Orton then goes to get a chair from the outside, and the referee takes it away, and it was really just a distraction to get the referee to turn his back. So the referee grabs the chair, turns his back. Randy Orton goes over to the turnbuckle pad and exposes it to use some heel tactics of his own. Only Orton was the one that winds up eating it, and that generally is the case in matches. Whoever pulls off that buckle pad is the one that eats the exposed buckle. Randy Orton gets shoved right into it, basically into his ribs, allows Cody to catch him in the crossroads, which Orton has already kicked out of one of those, I believe, in this match, and got the win and became the king of the ring. So Cody beats Randy Orton. Randy Orton's looking a little bit dejected, a little bit maybe, a mental conflict in his head. What do I do here? Do I just accept this? And then Byron Saxton gets in the ring to interview the new king of the ring. And the very first thing Cody does is thank Randy Orton, as Orton kind of looks on a little bit, just a little tease there. And then Cody goes on to thank the crowd as well. And he says, hey, I know when I'm in there with some of your favorites, some of you are going to react, basically acknowledging that they were booing him a little bit. And he says at SummerSlam, he's getting the ball back. And it was a very direct, short but sweet and deliberate promo that almost could give you a glimpse of what it's going to be like when we see Cody Rhodes as a heel. He says, I'm getting my ball back, just the command in his voice. That might be the Cody we see. He might be on that slow transition to, finish his story of becoming a full-blown heel. And maybe we're in a current, 6 to 9 month process of that happening. But Cody winning the crown, not that surprising. Probably one of the more easier matches to predict because nobody was really expecting Cena and Orton to run it back at SummerSlam. We just saw that at Backlash, and it just feels like Cody is going to be the match we're going to get. So there was still a chance with the main event still to come that it could be Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. We did talk about that possibility in the predictions yesterday that, hey, it would be kind of cool if Punk won the title and we'd get Cody and Punk. But based on everything that's been going on with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, that's the match that they're going to have to do. And Cody is the king of the ring. He now gets the title shot. Yet another feather in the cap of Cody Rhodes. And now this is another major loss that Randy Orton has suffered. He lost the King of the Ring finals to Gunther, right? Wasn't it Gunther and Randy in the King of the Ring? And then what happened last year? It was the two champions, right? Or was that the year before? I don't remember. When was the one where it was Orton and Gunther, and then Orton kind of got pinned, but he didn't? And then last year, I think it was Cody and Gunther, and then he got the big green belt. Do I have all that right? So another big win for Cody in Saudi Arabia, and not a very surprising one. But Orton is starting to stack up those losses in big-time matches. And you got to wonder, if we're going to get a Cody and Randy Orton feud, is it Randy Orton going heel or is it Cody going heel? I don't know. We might get a Randy Orton. They might revisit this down the line since Randy, was protected a little bit here with the exposed turnbuckle spot. Match number 2 was Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. Again, not surprising here. We had, this figured out in the predictions yesterday. Yes, we were probably going to see Roxanne Perez come out there, and I suppose she could help Raquel win the match. But I think the whole reason this match is booked is to give the Saudi Arabian audience a Rhea Ripley match. There weren't any women's championship matches on the show here. No IC. We had the U.S. title change hands on Friday night, and no Io Sky match and no Tiffany Stratton match, although Tiffany defended on SmackDown as well. So to give the fans another women's match on this show, Rhea Ripley is arguably the most popular woman in all of WWE. So you're going to give this audience a Rhea Ripley match. And I know she's had a few in Saudi Arabia, but if you got to stick another match on there for filler or whatnot, and this is the one you pick, if this match was on Raw on Monday night, then I'd be more open to Raquel winning. You can have Roxanne run out there the whole Judgment Day, 3 or 4 commercials, and you can have her steal the win. But on pay-per-view, on a PLE, one of this size, Ripley is going to win this match. She's not going to lose here. Do you want to know why? Because Rhea Ripley is going to be in a World Championship match at SummerSlam. We've all known that. There's no way Ripley will be involved in a non-title title match at SummerSlam. She's going to be chasing gold. She's not going to lose here. Well, it didn't. Raquel could have used the win more. It's not going to happen. They're not the same. Ripley is a main eventer, most popular woman in the company. She was given this match to win. This would be like in 2007 if John Cena took on, I don't know, Chris Masters. John Cena versus Chris. Oh, let's go. Yeah, 2007. John Cena versus Chris Masters for the championship. Or just in a one-on-one match. Let's say John Cena isn't champion. John Cena has lost his title to somebody, and he's temporarily not the world champion. And he was attacked on Raw by Chris Masters. So they threw him on a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia in a street fight. Of course John Cena is going to fucking win. Does he need the win? No. But he's not going to lose to Chris fucking Masters. So that's all I'm saying here. I like Raquel. Sure, she could have gotten the win, but why? She's going to be tag team champions with Roxanne. She's not a top contender right now. Not going to be. Ripley is. Ripley, I expect to face either a Io Sky or it's a triple threat with Ripley, Io, and Asuka. But Ripley is going to get a title shot at SummerSlam because if Jade wins the Queen of the Ring, which we were expecting her to, that means the title match for Io's title at SummerSlam is up for grabs. It's going to be Ripley, at least as one of the challengers to Io Sky. There might be more, but Ripley will be challenging for the championship at SummerSlam, and Ripley's just not going to lose a match like this. But it was street fight. Raquel came out there. They buried Raquel and Roxanne. Or Roxanne came out there, and she buried Raquel and Roxanne. And shut up. Just shut up. If I have my best Roy Kent expression, just shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. All of you. Anyway, still a good match between Ripley and Raquel. Roxanne Perez did run out there to try to get involved. Rhea Ripley took care of her, put a garbage can over her head and kicked her square in the fucking face. And then they have a table in the ring. They set the table up on the top rope or the top turnbuckle pad. And Rhea Ripley executes a top rope table riptide to Raquel to secure the win and get the victory in the street fight. I have no issue with that match's outcome at all. It was funny watching social media, man. The mental instability of a Stan account needs to be studied. My God, it's so predictable. There's literal, very simple algebra equations you can use to predict how somebody's going to react. And I was kind of messing around Twitter maybe like an hour ago, and every single I'm not saying 90%, I'm not saying 95%, every single account that has a women's wrestler other than Rhea Ripley as the profile picture, most of these accounts are Liv Morgan, but any other woman other than Ripley, they hated the finish of that match. The women's division has got, a much more, I guess, devoted fan base, because I'm just picturing in my mind a bunch of 13-year-old girls, who are just furiously fighting over their favorites. As much as I find that silly and I want to make fun of them, that is what wrestling is all about. It really is. It's about cheering for your favorites. The only problem is when you have favorites to that degree, like let's say your favorite is Liv Morgan and you were really mad about Ripley winning here, you're going to try to justify in your head why it was the wrong decision. No. It was the right decision. They can't handle it. And so they have to automatically just assume or make themselves believe that Triple H made some huge booking decision here. No, you're a fucking psycho stan and just cheer for your favorites, and that's it. But it was funny. I was like scrolling through the timeline here, and I'm like, man, every single account, whether it's a Liv Morgan or a Nikki Bella or a Io or an Asuka or a Jade or a Bianca, whoever their profile picture is, whoever's picture these 13-year-old fans are hiding behind, they were very upset that Ripley won. Greg was not. Good, big win for Ripley, and she will be getting a championship match at SummerSlam, and she might damn well win the title there. So get used to more Rhea Ripley coming your way. Then it was Sami Zayn taking on Karrion Kross. I haven't seen any updates yet online. We should check some of the websites and get an update about Karrion Kross, who clearly must be at a local medical facility right now getting surgery on his back, because he definitely suffered a major injury there. We saw him take back bumps, a whole bunch of them in this match. But the internet yesterday and all week long, and Wade Keller was telling us that he doesn't take back bumps. because he can't, because he's injured. So when he started falling on his back all throughout this match, clearly he must have broken it, and thoughts and prayers are out to Karrion Kross in his recovery. He'd take back bumps all throughout this match. Hey, you know what? This match wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to suck. And I mean suck. It didn't. It wasn't even half bad. It wasn't great. I'd give it, I don't do star ratings. I don't like them. I refuse to do them. But let's do one here. 3 stars. 3 stars Sami and Kross get, which in my mind over-delivered on what I expected to be a 2-star match. Finish was even kind of good. Kross is kind of abusing Sami, trying to get him to admit, to say out loud that Kross was right, holding him by the hair and the face. Say it! Say Kross was right. And Sami just refuses to do what Kross says. So finally Kross has got Sami in the corner, and he's going to go line him up for a big attack here to finish him off. But as Kross goes running to the opposite corner, Sami follows him in and blasts him with a haluva kick. Down goes Kross, and Sami Zayn gets the win. Much like Rhea Ripley and Raquel, a lot of the same chatter, just thousands of fans all sharing the same brain. Kross didn't need or Sami didn't need the win, all that stuff. Sami won here. I would have put him over here too. And I don't think that what's going on with them necessarily is over here because Sami got the win. It feels like Kross is trying to get to Sami, and this might result in some sort of a heel turn for Sami Zayn. That's what a lot of people are expecting. I think that's going to be tough to do if they want to give Sami the feel-good moment at the Royal Rumble, unless they want him heel going into next year. And if this is all going to continue with Sami and Kross, I think there's a really good chance for the fans that were mad about Kross losing here. I think there's an excellent chance that this gets run back on Monday Night Raw, either this week, coming up on Monday, or maybe the Monday after, where Kross winds up getting a win back. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. But in terms of this match, Sami Zayn in front of that audience, much like Ripley and Raquel, I think if you were going to book Raquel Rodriguez to beat Ripley, or you were going to book Karrion Kross to beat Sami Zayn, I would have done both of those matches on Raw, not on Night of Champions. So the fact that they were booked for Night of Champions, to me, gave away the ending. I see what fans are saying. Like, I get where the line of thinking they're coming from when it says, oh, well, Ripley's already over. Why didn't Raquel go over? Well, because she's not going to. That's why. But same thing with Kross. I get that line of thinking, but you also have to consider where these matches are. Ripley is not going to just take a random street fight loss to Raquel in Saudi Arabia. She's massively over there. WWE wants to give fans a glimpse of Rhea and watch her win. Sami Zayn, same thing. If they would have had this match, Sami and Kross, booked for this Monday's Raw instead of Night of Champions, I might be picking Karrion Kross here. But Sami Zayn and Rhea Ripley in these 2 specific matches, these are title matches, or they're in there against bigger opponents, then this could be different. But Ripley and Zayn in there against those 2, Kross and Raquel, it's going to be a win for Ripley and Sami Zayn 10 times out of 10. It's just they're not going to lose here in that situation, in that building, in that match. So I wasn't surprised. I didn't think WWE made a booking mistake. I know fans want Karrion Kross pushed. I like Karrion Kross. He's been interesting as all hell to me lately, and I've really been optimistic that maybe this guy can finally find his footing here in WWE, and I don't think a loss here to Sami Zayn damages that at all, because Kross loses all the time. It's not like he's been on some big winning streak. It's not like he's been building up and his popularity, or his popularity is rising, but he's not been stringing up a bunch of wins other than what we see on Main Event, which is where he's been working. So to me, this is exactly the outcome they could do. Or they should have done. And I'm not surprised. So they could do this again, and there could be more to this story, and it could continue. We could find this out on Monday on Raw. If we see Kross and Sami Zayn interacting a lot, then we know that situation is not over, and it's going to result in something. I don't think they're going to do this just for Sami Zayn to beat Kross 4 times and then be done. So if we see them interact again on Raw, that means whatever they're doing isn't finished. And if that's the case, then it really doesn't matter if Sami Zayn won at Night of Champions, because he probably will wind up losing the next one, or maybe he even aligns with Kross. That would be crazy if Sami Zayn goes back to Saudi Arabia and wins the Royal Rumble as a heel. Here we have him, we're fantasy booking him, cutting some tearful, emotional promo in Arabic. Maybe he tells the fans to fuck off when he wins. Jesus, we have no idea. But Sami Zayn, defeating Karrion Kross here. And I thought it was kind of a cool finish, following him in with that huluva kick like that. Then it was Jacob Fatu. He is defending his United States Championship against Solo Sikoa. Now, this one, a lot of people had this finish on their bingo card. Wasn't that hard to predict. Had a feeling that we might see Hikuleo show up because he has been working some dark matches ahead of SmackDown over the past couple of weeks after being under contract to WWE forever. They have finally, kind of brought him out and given him some matches. So him showing up here and costing Jacob the championship felt like it was pretty obvious. And I picked Solo Sikoa to win the title here. Now, we had a little bit of, they tried to swerve you, but you knew as soon as you saw this guy, you knew what they were doing. Jacob Fatu, I think he's got Solo under control, things under control in the match. And that's when we did see some outside interference, not from Hikuleo, but from a returning Tonga Loa, who I don't think has been seen since War Games, which is crazy. So Tonga Loa shows up, and he hits a neck breaker on Jacob Fatu. And as soon as I saw Tonga Loa, I'm like, nope, that's not going to be the finish. It's not going to be Tonga Loa costing Solo Sikoa. Or I'm sorry, costing Jacob Fatu. It's going to be Hikuleo. So Tonga shows up and hits the neck breaker on Jacob. He survives all of this. And then we see Hikuleo show up. He pulls Jacob, I think, out of the ring and winds up basically choke slamming him through a table. Picks up Jacob after that, throws him back in the ring, allowing Solo Sikoa to nail him with the Samoan spike and win the United States Championship just like we had figured. And it was a finish that many of us had kind of called out. And Hikuleo does, in fact, debut, help Solo Sikoa win the championship. They made a point not to say this man's name. They didn't call him Hikuleo. So that is all but confirmation that he's going to have a new name. And I believe WWE had trademarked a Tala Tonga, something like that, Tala Tonga. So that's probably going to be his name. And Hikuleo is now in the WWE finally. Big-ass guy. It's like they took X-Pac and stretched him into a big fucking 7-footer. So some fans, again, much like the Rhea and Raquel match, much like the Sami and Kross match, again, a lot of the predictable comments. There's more of this Bloodline shit. Oh, these Bloodline guys keep showing up. Well, at least it's this and not Roman Reigns. At least it's a U.S. title. The Bloodline story is never going to end, essentially, because there's an unlimited amount of Bloodline members, of family members here. So you can keep debuting Samoans until the end of fucking time. You're never going to run out of Samoans. The factory just keeps pumping them out. So I feel like any time that this family is associated with each other on TV, there's always going to be a chance for a new one to debut in any match that they're in. But I do get that it is kind of getting old, but I'm just happy that it wasn't Hikuleo saving Roman Reigns. I'm glad that we haven't had, another year and a half of this Roman Reigns Bloodline shit. If he would have beat Cody at WrestleMania 40 and he still would have been champion today and we would have ran a finish like that back, I'd have been throwing my computer out the window too. But U.S. title, this was also a way to protect Jacob. A lot of fans, again, they take the title off Jacob too fast. No, they didn't. Who makes these rules? What do you mean too fast? He won the title at WrestleMania. All these championships throughout wrestling and WWE, fast title reigns are the norm. Every now and then you get a long one, but there are way more short runs when it comes to especially the secondary titles than there are long ones. So with Jacob Fatu, them taking the U.S. title off of him is just probably going to mean they're going to move him on to something bigger unless he just straight wins the title back from Solo at SummerSlam. But also having Hikuleo come out protects Jacob. He didn't lose clean to Solo. They don't want to do that to him either. So I had no issue with this. I don't give a shit who the U.S. I don't even really like that championship, to be honest. I don't like the belt. It's just too big and ugly. I don't like it. So I don't really care who's the U.S. champion. So Jacob losing here, I don't think was some travesty or some big booking mistake or anything like that. It's just the fucking typical norm, man. What is we won in a 3-month U.S. title run? It's so shocking how short it was. I'm like, most of them are like that long, aren't they? So anyway, again, I don't see the problem with the complaints out there, but everybody has a right to their opinion. And Jacob Fatu has dropped the U.S. title to Solo Sikoa. Then it was time for the Women's Queen of the Ring final, probably the weakest match on the card if I had to make a decision on that. Jade Cargill is still Jade Cargill, you know. Here she is taking on Asuka in the finals of the Queen of the Ring. And Asuka really did. Asuka tried her best. She had, when I was watching both of their entrances and watching them in the beginning of the match, I started to question my prediction because, you know, I was like, did I predict this one wrong? It felt like Jade's body language and Asuka's were vastly different. Jade was kind of looking like someone who was being sent out there to lose, and Asuka did not. And I started second-guessing myself a little bit. But really, you know, when I was watching the match, Jade has made improvements, and Jade does some things well. But you can, when you're really looking for it, you can see the weaknesses that Jade had. There was even just a simple, like, choke slam spot, you know, where she kind of grabbed a hold of Asuka. Maybe it was like a reversal out of something, and just the time it took, and it wasn't even that long, 3 or 4 seconds for her to position her feet and for her to get her up. She looks like she has to think before each move instead of everything just let flow. You know what I mean? And Asuka had a lot more energy. She was really trying hard, I think, to carry this match. I don't want to jump on that, you know, Jade is a terrible wrestler bandwagon. I think she has, you know, some issues, and I think she does do some things very well, and I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think she absolutely sucks, but I certainly don't think she's ready to be world champion either. I think it's, you know, kind of somewhere in the middle, and this match, you know, just kind of helped confirm that with me. And Asuka, like I said, tried to pull something out of Jade for this match. In the end, it just wasn't that great. Jade, after a couple of attempts to hit her finisher, is able to reverse. I don't know if Asuka came in with that new ass move that she did or whatever she did, but Jade was able to grab her in that underhook and then slam her down. What's it called? I guess the Jade. I don't even know the name of her finisher, the Jaded. And then when she leans back, she didn't do the little hand lick thing, I don't think, but when she leaned back too far and completely fell off of Asuka and botched the pin. Now, luckily, they only showed the one camera angle of it, but it did look like Asuka kept her shoulder down. So when Jade kind of leaned back to do her pin, she slid right off of Asuka and fell completely off of her while the referee was still counting. So even the pin didn't look good, and the match was just, yeah. And in the end, it was Jade becoming the Queen of the Ring. She was also interviewed after the match, and she gave a little motivational speech there. And I'm fine with Jade winning. I had Asuka, the minute they announced Asuka for the tournament, she was going to be my pick to win until we got to yesterday. And I started thinking about the different, you know, scenarios of SummerSlam and whatnot. And I thought Asuka could win, face Io Sky. But then I was like, oh shit, what do you do with Rhea Ripley in that situation? She's going to have to do that thing again where she worms her way into a triple threat. And they just ran that story. So Asuka now challenging Io, that would leave Ripley with nothing to do at SummerSlam, and I don't think that's what WWE is going to do. Rhea Ripley is going to be challenging for the championship at SummerSlam, so that means Jade has to win here. So I changed my pick, and Jade did wind up winning. Now, again, some of the opinions I saw today, a little bit on social media, was this too much too soon for Jade Cargill? No, because she's not going to win the title. I don't think she's going to win the championship. I think Naomi's going to win the championship. So now it's just a matter of which scenario they want to do, and with Jade Cargill, because I feel like you got to think about Bianca Belair as well. She's out with a hand injury. I was thinking she could be factored into the SummerSlam match. That's why I originally had Asuka win in the Queen of the Ring, so maybe Jade and Bianca and Naomi can have that big triple threat match at SummerSlam, assuming Naomi is champion by then. But now with Jade winning, they can do one of two things. They can either, like I had predicted, have Naomi cash in on Tiffany, maybe at Evolution, and then go on to defend against Jade Cargill at SummerSlam and get her win back from WrestleMania. Because you got to remember, Jade beat Naomi at WrestleMania. When these two women get in the ring again, whether there's a belt on the line or not, Naomi will be your winner. So you can either have Naomi cash in, and then defend against Jade and successfully retain against Jade at SummerSlam. Or you can have Jade, I like this better, you can have Jade face Tiffany at SummerSlam, beat Tiffany for the championship, and then have Naomi immediately come and cash in. I put that scenario up on social media, and somebody was like, I don't know if it'd be good for her, for Jade's first title win to be so short. What are you talking about? That's exactly what I would want. You know, I don't think Jade Cargill is really ready to be a world champion, but she's ready to be a world champion for 30 seconds. You just have her beat Tiffany, and then Naomi can come down and get that revenge from WrestleMania. That's exactly the way I would balance this out, because I remember being kind of shocked that Jade won at WrestleMania. I predicted Naomi because she had just turned heel. She's not going to lose here. And then when she did, almost immediately I said, maybe the reason she lost to Jade is because she's going to win the Money in the Bank. And so this is all going to come back full circle somehow. So you can do it either way. Naomi can go into SummerSlam already as champion to defend against Jade, or Jade can face Tiffany and Naomi comes and cashes in on the winner. I would love it if it would be a good way for WWE to make Jade Cargill a former women's champion without having to give her any sort of a lengthy run. And she could still get one down the line, but I would like, that's the way Daniel Bryan's first run was like that. Well, sort of. I know he had the world heavyweight title when he lost to Sheamus and whatnot, but, it felt like his real first big win at SummerSlam 2013 there, was taken away from him by Randy Orton, and doing something like that with Naomi would be perfect. The Jade stands are going to be all mad that she dropped the title, and the people like to second guess every booking decision are going to wonder if it was the right thing to do to give her the belt only to take it away from her. It's pro wrestling with Money in the Bank briefcases running around. Stop overanalyzing every fucking thing. It would be fun. It's probably going to happen. I expect Jade to either get the title shot and lose, or win the title and get cashed in on. One of those two things is happening. Jade Cargill will not walk out of SummerSlam with the women's championship. Naomi will, 100%. So with that being said, I don't have any issue with Jade winning at WrestleMania or Jade Cargill winning the Queen of the Ring. I don't think it's too much too soon. She's been there a year and a fucking half. So, I think WWE's actually probably taking their time with Jade Cargill. And I just don't see her winning the title at SummerSlam and then having a run. I think Naomi is going to crash that party. And I hope she does, because I would much rather have Naomi as champion than Jade Cargill. Naomi is going to be fun as a heel with the title, and she's definitely going to win it. When it comes to people with the briefcase, who's going to be successful and unsuccessful, Naomi's one of those successful ones. She is absolutely going to cash in and win the title. And it's probably going to be on Jade Cargill to get that WrestleMania revenge. All right, that leaves us with the main event, John Cena defending his undisputed WWE Championship against CM Punk in Saudi Arabia. Punk, of course, we talked a lot about him yesterday on the prediction stream. We talked about him apologizing to the Saudi Arabia fans. He had that conversation with that fella that made him address the tweet to the Miz there, that guy Muhammad, who I think they should have Muhammad attend some of these press conferences and these scrums to really ask the important questions there. But Punk made good on the picture with the kid that he blew off when, that video came out. And, Punk found himself in an interesting situation with Saudi Arabia, because the way everything ended in AEW, he had a choice. Either go back to WWE or let how things ended in AEW be your legacy. And we talked about that when he left. I'm like, before Punk even left AEW, I'm like, if he winds up getting fired, he's just going to prove what everybody kind of knew. Punk just doesn't get along well with others in this wrestling business. And everywhere he goes, he just has a massive fucking falling out. And when he came back to WWE, one of the main things I said when he first got there, I'm like, it's going to be very crucial for this run of his to be a success. If he runs into all sorts of problems in WWE and everything that he hated about WWE, he starts to remember and starts happening again, his entire legacy hinges on his WWE run being a success and being enjoyable. And so far, I think it has been. And we've known since coming back to WWE that he's going to have to work Saudi Arabia. That was worked out before he signed on the dotted line. Before Punk came out in the white shirt at Survivor Series, he knew he would be going to Saudi Arabia. So for all the fans being so uppity right now, I'm like, all he's doing is going to Saudi Arabia. He's already agreed to go there. He agreed to go there before he signed with WWE. That was probably addressed right away. Hey, if you sign, you're going to have to work Saudi. And Punk's probably like, I know. You know, he's not going to be able to stick to his guns in that situation, you know, so it's not like he's going against his beliefs or whatever, you know. Obviously, when you're as vocal as CM Punk was about some of these things, you're not going to avoid being looked at as a hypocrite. And Punk is hypocritical. You know, he is. But, you know, these are things that he's chosen to say and chosen to do on his own. Back when he was saying those things, he was never expecting in a million years that he would be going to Saudi Arabia. But that was before, you know, he went on a profanity-laced, you know, mouthful of muffin tirade on half the fucking AEW locker room, and then got in a couple of backstage fights, you know, found himself back in WWE and going, oh shit, you know, I guess I got to go work Saudi now. That's just the way it is. You know, getting paid all this money, you got a big job, you're in WWE, fans are chanting your name, you're going to have to work Saudi Arabia. So, you know, when it comes to Punk being there, you know, I understand why he's got to go. You know, I do. He's in WWE now, and he's going to have to go. And so making his first match there a championship match, I thought was interesting, and it was a good way to kind of address the whole situation, because I didn't think it would be a good idea for Punk's first appearance in Saudi Arabia to be at the Royal Rumble. You know, they got to get this out of the way now. They got to address the elephant in the room. They have to have Punk over there interacting with, you know, with the audience over there and whatnot. So now they've done all of that. So now when he goes back, it's not going to be as weird, and we're not going to be talking about it 24/7. So they just had to get it done here. And putting him in the ring with John Cena, I thought was an interesting decision, because Triple H could have easily made this match for SummerSlam or for Money in the Bank. But they chose to do it in Saudi Arabia, and I guess that was probably by design. If they're talking, you know, behind the scenes to Punk, all right, look, you're going to have to work this Saudi show. You know, if we put you in a title match, at least storyline-wise, you got a reason to chase John Cena over there. And they did the best they could with it. So even though I think I would have preferred Punk and Cena at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, I also kind of understand why they did it here. Now, in the predictions, I was saying that the one thing I don't want out of this match is low blow, dick kick, belt shot for the win. They have to get more creative in this match. They absolutely have to. And I'm going to need more than that. And I'm happy to say that we did get more than that, but some of it was a little bit weird. Both guys came out to a ton of reaction from the crowd. They were singing Punk's song. Punk, you know, he did hear, a few boos and whatnot. And of course, John Cena was hearing tons and tons of cheers. And I liked what they were doing throughout this match. When you watched them wrestle, I was so worried that it would be a slow, boring match with two guys who were way, way, way past their physical prime. But it wasn't. You could see that chemistry that used to be there, that chemistry that we all saw between CM Punk and John Cena all those years ago. It's still there. Cena and Punk haven't even seen each other in over a decade. And when they get back in the ring again, you know, it was like right back there. You know, you could see that none of that chemistry between them faded. They are still excellent rivals. This is still always a very, very fun match to see. And I did like how it did happen to work out that this was the all-time tiebreaker between these two guys. They are not going to wrestle again. This is it. The last time they face each other. They are 6-6 with a couple of no contests or DQs or something. So, you know, they both hold the same amount of victories over the other. And then there's a couple of ties. So this was legitimately the all-time tiebreaker. And you had to know when an all-time tiebreaker in WWE's legacy, you know, it's going to be Cena winning that tiebreaker over CM Punk. But the match, like I said, I thought was still good. We had the spamming finishers, as always, 3, I believe, total AAs that CM Punk kicked out of. And John Cena was doing some interesting things too here, playing to the crowd because they were cheering him a lot. And I couldn't tell if John Cena was just messing with us or if he really starting to have that that personal struggle, that mental conflict of, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision selling my soul? It seems like there's been a couple of moments in John Cena matches over the past couple of pay-per-views where he's had that little moment of, am I doing the right thing here? And I think a lot of this was, kind of a red herring, but also I think some of it he was really legitimately feeling. And he went out to the outside of the ring, of course, to go grab the belt. And he's got the belt, and it was a lot like... there's been a few instances like this. WrestleMania 8 with Brett and Piper. Piper's got the bell. He's going to use the bell on Brett, and the fans were like, no, don't do it, and he throws it away. They're doing the same thing to Cena here. They're telling him not to use the belt, and he tosses it away to humongous cheers. And then he walks right into a GTS, which he then kicks out of. And then right after that, Punk and Cena are back up. Cena goes for a shoulder tackle on Punk. Punk ducks. Cena hits the referee. So there you go. There is our ref bump. Okay, so what's going to happen now? Out comes Seth Rollins and crew, complete with music. Rollins' music hits. He comes out to the stage. He's got Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with him. I mentioned yesterday Seth Rollins, if he was going to be flown all the way to Saudi Arabia just to come out for 5 seconds in the main event, and looks like that's what he did. Now, one thing I didn't like about this is Rollins, I believe, should have been in his wrestling gear, because if they really wanted you to believe that a cash-in was possible here, Rollins was coming out wearing Becky Lynch's clothes. He's got his nice little slacks and his little blouse and whatever the fuck he's wearing. It ain't wrestling gear, that's for sure. So if you really wanted us to think that, he should have came out in his gear with his hair wet and, and everything ready to go. But he just kind of slowly saunters to the ring with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed hitting the ring, and they attack CM Punk and put CM Punk through a table. They then throw him in the ring, and I think Rollins is kind of signaling for someone, and that's when we see, this was so great, we see referee Charles Robinson, who we know back when he was younger, could sprint like a motherfucker. It was one of those WrestleManias, right, where he's just booking it. I mean, he is running, sprinting for his life to the ring. It might have been WrestleMania 25. What year was that he was going down? And so they do it again. So here comes Charles Robinson running down, and then out of nowhere, Cena comes in and takes him out, wipes out Charles Robinson, which is clearly a callback to the Johnny Laurinaitis spot at Money in the Bank, right? There was some sort of spot on the outside of the ring where Laurinaitis is out there, and then Cena just fucking takes him out, and Cena is actually trying to help Punk, because Laurinaitis was out there to make sure that Punk didn't win the title, and Cena took him out. And here, Robinson is down to count Punk out, and Cena saves the day. So the crowd fucking loved that. I really like that old Money in the Bank callback there. And then in one of the more bizarre run-ins, if you could call it that, Penta's music hits, but he can't come down there and save anyone until he does the walk. Got to do the walk first. So what the fuck? Breaker, I think, winds up meeting him up on the stage. So they start brawling. And then when Breaker is taking out Penta, we get Sami Zayn. So then it's Sami Zayn's music. And Sami Zayn comes out to help Penta. Then you go to the ring. You've got, I believe, Bronson Reed up on the top rope, who I think is going to deliver a tsunami to Cena. Punk shoves him off the rope. Is it Breaker? I think it's Reed, right? Shoves Reed off the rope. It's Reed off the rope, and saves John Cena. So now everybody's kind of powdered out. Cena and Punk are back in the ring again, and Cena extends his hand for Punk to shake. They shake hands. I think they even give each other a hug, right? And then Cena, when he's hugging Punk, he's got that same look on his face when he was hugging Cody and he was looking at The Rock and everything changed. Same exact hug. He goes to dick kick CM Punk, but CM Punk sees it coming, stops him, and then Rollins runs in and nails Punk with the briefcase and stomps him to the mat, allowing Cena to cover CM Punk and get the win and retain the championship. So it felt like Cena was actually trying to help Punk here at times and vice versa to combat all of this outside interference. But it was weird that Cena did what he did at the end. Why didn't he just use the belt to begin with there? How did he know all those people were going to run in? So it was like he just did that to appease the crowd, only to cheat and win anyway, which was kind of weird. But I did like that the fans were cheering John Cena a lot, and we can tell it's probably not going to be that hard to get him back to being a babyface again before he retires, if that's what they want to do. If the plan is for him to have some sort of a redemption arc here at the very end, or for him to maintain a conflicted heel, all the way until the end, until he loses and he turns back babyface right at the end. Kind of like when, somebody plays for a team for 20 years, they go play for another team for the final 2 years of their career, but then they sign a one-day deal with their original team so they can retire under that team. Maybe that's what they're doing here with Cena. Maybe what Cena is doing right now is Brady in Tampa Bay. And in the end, did Brady do that actually? Did they sign Brady to a deal in New England so he can retire a Patriot? I feel like they would have there. But if they didn't, that's kind of the idea I'm going for here. So, Brady in Tampa Bay, and then, at the very, very end, John Cena gives the endorsement to Cody or whatever happens there, and he's allowed to have his big send-off, his speech, his goodbye or whatever. But, at the same time, I also think that the WWE might want to give the fans a couple of matches with John Cena back being his full-blown babyface. So feels like there's going to be a babyface turn. What do you guys think as we sit right now heading into SummerSlam? Do you think Cody's got a chance? Do you think Cody's going to win back the title from John Cena? Because now that match is confirmed for SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. So does Cody win the belt back here, or do they set up a double turn? Because we saw shades of Cena moving into being a babyface again, and we saw some heel tendencies from Cody. Are they setting up the ultimate double turn of all time? Because if Cody does beat John Cena, that means we're going back to having Cody be the white meat babyface baby-kissing champion again, which is fine. I like that Cody, but I don't know if it would hit the same as it did. I feel like some of those fans have fallen off. Some fans are also ready for him to turn heel. Some fans are just sick of how he is. So I don't know if Cody is going to have that same support as champion. It might be a type of situation where, like CM Punk, where he might have to turn heel in the middle of his title run, which has only been done a couple of times. CM Punk and John Cena, CM Punk and Randy Savage both did it. I'm trying to think if anybody's gone, I guess somebody might have gone from heel to babyface. I know there's more examples, but not many of someone who goes from heel to babyface in the middle of their world championship run. It's only been done a couple of times, so maybe we could see that from Cody Rhodes. Possibly, but I guess it just depends on what the end game here is for John Cena. He's down to like 15 appearances left, so we're well over halfway through, Cena's farewell tour here. So, whatever he's got to do he doesn't have that many appearances left to go here. So I think right now there's a good chance for Cody winning the title at SummerSlam, but there's got to be something else tied into it. I don't know if you could ever, I don't think you ever can. You'd have to find the right situation. This might be it. It might not. But, what kind of a double turn could you possibly do that could be even nearly as good as the best one of all time, which is Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin? If you want to try to do some sort of a big double turn for more modern fans to do a callback to, because we're coming up on 30 years. It's been 28 years since that WrestleMania 13 match. Many fans weren't even a glint in their dad's eye yet when that match happened. So, the modern fans might need something more modern to call back to when they're talking about the greatest double turns of all time. And maybe you do one here with John Cena and Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. I still personally think it might be a little bit too early to do that with Cody, but you can definitely tell it's coming. So overall, I thought John Cena and CM Punk definitely over-delivered. I thought the match was really going to have a potential to suck, and it did not. But in terms of the run-ins, I know Penta's been associated with Breakker and Reed, so it's not like it was completely out of nowhere for him to run out there. It was just a little bit weird for Penta to be out there, and of course he's got to do his little walk before he does anything. It was just really, really weird. So I felt like it was like a watered down or a not so good version of what they did at WrestleMania 40 with Cody Rhodes winning the title. And I think whatever AEW does with Moxley and Hangman at All In is also going to surpass this. It's going to be a little bit more fun in terms of the overbooking and the run-ins and just the bonkers nature of the match. I think Hangman and Mox is going to be a lot of fun. This one with Punk and Cena was fun, although I think some of the run-ins at the end there had the fans scratching their heads a little bit, and it felt like they were just kind of doing it to do it. But I did enjoy how John Cena won. If you're wondering to yourself, why were they doing all these random run-ins? Really for only one reason, to protect Punk. He was able to lose this match while staying protected. We said that in the predictions. John Cena's not going to just, he better not anyway, just dick kick him and belt shot him or beat him clean. I can't see that being a scenario here. So having all these people run out there, and specifically Rollins playing a key role there in the finish, is a way to not only protect Punk, but give him something to do at SummerSlam. So now we were curious and speculating what Punk might do at SummerSlam. It feels like it's got to be a match with Rollins, because Rollins cost him. He cost him the match with Cena. I suppose that CM Punk could then go to Adam Pearce on Monday and say, we talked about this in the predictions too. You saw what happened at Night of Champions. I got screwed over royally, and now I can never face John Cena again because he's got the rest of his retirement tour planned out. Plus, Cody's probably going to beat him for the title. So you owe me a title shot the way I see it. I want to face Gunther at SummerSlam. And so maybe it's Punk and Gunther. Punk and Gunther, Cody and Cena, and Seth floating around with the briefcase, potentially cashing in on one of those matches. And then if you ask me what Seth Rollins does, maybe he faces LA Knight at SummerSlam. Maybe it's Seth Rollins and LA Knight, although I have a feeling we might see Seth Rollins versus LA Knight on Saturday night's main event. But you could do Rollins and Knight. You could give Knight a big victory over Rollins, because what's the difference? Give him a clean win. Give him a completely fucking clean win over Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. What does it matter if Seth's going to go cash in and win the title later on anyway? So maybe it's Punk and Gunther for the title, and then Seth, faces LA Knight, and he's got an opportunity to cash in on either one of those matches, or it's CM Punk and Seth Rollins in that blow-off. Punk wins the blow-off against Rollins at SummerSlam, but Rollins then successfully cashes in later on. I feel like Rollins losing to LA Knight or Punk at SummerSlam and cashing in later is a really, really good possibility. So, maybe they do it on Saturday night's main event. Maybe they do Punk and Rollins on Saturday night's main event based on the way the finish went, but they could. But they could also do SummerSlam. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what they do on Raw. They will probably be planting some immediate seeds on Monday night, and we will be here after the fact to talk about it. All right, that's pretty much it for the results there. We'll hang out here with the chat, see what you guys have to say, and then I got to get out of here and head to work. Let's knock out some supers that came in. Oh, wait. I'm looking at some of these earlier comments. Did the stream go out briefly? It didn't look like I had any interruptions over here. Oh, wait. No, all right, we're good. That was from earlier on. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with the stream there. We seemed fine, at least on my end. So sorry about that. All right, let's knock out some of these super chats here. There we go. I think the first one I saw was from Zane, correct? Zane G is here. I think you got $10 for us. Thanks, man. What's up, Greg? I'm sorry, Greg. Hate me all you want, but you are still my bud. 2 back-to-back Rumble wins and now King of the Ring victory. I say too much. Oh, you mean Cody? 2 back-to-back Rumble wins. Yeah, I guess Cody did win them back-to-back, didn't he? And now King of the Ring victory. Hey, and don't forget that big green belt. Didn't he win the big green belt as well? So yeah, Cody wins a lot because Cody is a top star. That tends to happen with the top stars. I would say, don't worry because he might lose at SummerSlam, but he probably won't. Cody probably will go on to win the title. I might be inclined to agree with you, Zane, if Cody winds up winning the championship and then just continues on his American Nightmare babyface run that now is experiencing a lot less support than what it used to. then I might feel like, well, what's the point? But if this is all leading to something great, like if they need to do the John Cena and Cody Rhodes match, then he kind of has to win the King of the Ring here. So if it's going to wind up leading to a bigger part of this story and saga between Cody and Cena, like I said, if it leads to some sort of double turn or something like that, then it will all be worth it. So we still have to wait and see what the end game here is. But when you have a stipulation like the winner of the King of the Ring gets a title shot at SummerSlam, you're kind of handcuffed there. The two people in this match were Cody and Orton. Orton winning just wouldn't have made sense. It's not going to be Orton and Cena again. It's going to be Cody and Cena. They're the ones telling the story. Now, if there was a Raw person in the match with Cody, like if it was Cody and Sami for the championship, then yeah, you could make a case. Say, yeah, Sami should have won and got the title shot at SummerSlam for the Raw brand. And, Cody could do something else, but Cody can get to Cena some other way. But Cody and Cena is the match that they are going to do at SummerSlam, so it just kind of felt like he had to win. In my mind, Ryan Adams has got 5. Charles taking that bump when he turned 61 next week was insane. And Cross contract, if he hasn't re-signed already, is up in August. Yeah, we did know it was a summertime thing for Karrion Kross. Hopefully he will re-up. I was wondering when Robinson was running down the ring, he wasn't running with the spunk that he did way back at that WrestleMania all those years ago. And I didn't even know how old Charles was. Apparently he's 61, my God, and he can still sprint. Doesn't Jacob Fatu have like 7 kids? I think he might. I don't really keep track of the offspring of some of these wrestlers, but yeah, 7 kids, that's a lot. Yeah, Shawn Michaels does do a lot of quick title runs on NXT. Yeah, when Shawn was working, title changes were frequent. Very, very frequent. Michael Games missed the show today, just got released from the hospital after suffering a mild heart attack. All the best to you, Michael. My God. I'm glad you're out of the hospital. Take care of yourself, man. Whatever they tell you to do, do it. Especially when it comes to heart. Yeah, hope all is well, man. Man, oh man. Got to change your diet. No more, red meat will do it. I probably eat too much as well. Man, but yeah, whatever they tell you to do, just do it. Just do it. Oh, thank you. It was WrestleMania 24 that Robinson was booking it down there. Booking it. Blunt Object 89 has received a channel membership from the Juliet. Juliet's always hooking us up. No, Brady did not get that one-day contract. Yeah, Emmett Smith and Jerry Rice, they might have. And I know it's happened a lot in baseball and in basketball. Like, I think like Paul Pierce, right? Didn't he go sign a contract with Boston just to retire a Celtic? Coco, Colin, good to see you, man. Appreciate the 2. Little Nate ran down like he shat himself. I don't know. Are you going to be running that fast if you shat yourself? I think you'd be walking kind of gingerly if that happens. But I wouldn't know because I haven't shat myself in at least, God, it has to be like 3-4 weeks now since my last shat. Now, Juliet, appreciate the 5 from you. Okay, we have confirmation on what I said earlier. New name for Hikuleo is Talatanga. Presser Graphic confirmed it. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier that I couldn't remember if it was 1 L or 2 L's, but I remember when we heard about the Talatanga trademark a while back, and most fans, we talked about it on the podcast, assumed that it was going to be for Hikuleo, and then when they were purposely not mentioning his name during the run-in, that kind of confirmed that he would be getting a new name, and it is going to be, in fact, Talatanga. So you got Talatanga, Tongaloa, and Tamatanga. So we got 2 Tongas with a last name, 1 Tonga with a first name. I'm getting lost. I don't know about you guys. But good for Solo. A lot of fans who are like, oh, they took the title off of Jacob so quickly. Well, what would you have done with Solo then? What if Solo would have lost here? This whole thing that he's doing, he's got this gimmick. He's a funny guy. Fans are taking notice. If he were to lose here, then where did he go? Now you got a belt on him. Now he can do all his gloating. Now he's got some extra backup with him, kind of forming his own little bloodline here, playing the role of a Walmart Roman Reigns with a secondary title instead of the world title. And he's got his cronies with him now and, trying to recreate that. I can get behind that. And if he would have lost here, I felt like that story and that angle would have had nowhere to go. So now It's JC Mateo, it's Hikuleo, it's Solo Sikoa. Tama Tonga will probably get back in the mix as well at some point. And then on the other side, you've got Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso. I like the idea of for SummerSlam. Somebody brought up the New Day versus the Usos. I would be super into that if that's what they do at SummerSlam. But right now, Jimmy is kind of associated with Jacob Fatu. He's going to have to find his way over to Raw somehow or to help out his bro. But if they ran back after all these years, the New Day versus the Usos, and Usos honestly probably squashed them for the tag team championships at SummerSlam, that would be super fun. Unless it's Jimmy and Jay and Jacob against a complete New Day. I think we can kind of give up on the Big E hopes and dreams and speculations, but you always got to wonder about him, if anything will ever, if he'll ever come back. But the Usos versus New Day is kind of intriguing because the New Day's heel run and everything they're doing right now on Raw is boring as all hell. So if you resurrect their rivalry, their great rivalry with the Usos, that could be fun. I could get behind that. Jimmy and Jay are going to need something to do at SummerSlam. So maybe that's what it is. I like it. Hunga Tunga Kawabunga. What about Chumbawamba? All right, just checking all of the supers. We seem to be good. Right on. Okay, well, that's going to pretty much do it for this review. I got to get out of here now and head to work, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me, waiting a couple of hours after the show was over for me to come up here and finally review this thing. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be here for a classic watch-along, but it is going to be a special start time of 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, Bash at the Beach 2000. Sorry that I had to reschedule this to 3 hours earlier than we normally do it, but I'm going to be busy tomorrow evening, and I didn't want to cancel this thing altogether. So we will be here tomorrow afternoon to watch Bash at the Beach 2000, that entire debacle with Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan and Jeff Jarrett. I really have never watched this thing from start to finish before, so we're going to be doing that tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you join us. The link is already up right now on the channel, and then we'll be back on Monday evening as well for a Raw review. Thanks again for being here. If you are watching this on demand, drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought of the show, and make sure you smash that thumbs up button on the way out the door. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and I'll be catching you tomorrow for the watch along. Peace.